hello, parents. Welcome, welcome to today's masterclass. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Student Success School. For those of you who are tuning in live and as you're coming in, I want to take a moment and introduce myself to you. My name is Portia Williams, also known as the Student Success Coach. And what I do is I help grades K through 5 parents confidently speak out on their child's behalf without being seen as the angry parent so that they can help their child achieve academic success. And so, one of the reasons that I do that, in case you have not heard a little bit of my testimony, a little bit of my background, I was a student who really struggled academically. I did not do well academically, especially in elementary school. In middle school, I had much more behavior challenges, but in elementary school, for me, it was stemmed from my academic failures. And so once I began, it wasn't until high school that I began to start to achieve academically. That's when my parents began to see a change in me. And so I went off to college and began to start my degree in psychology and African American studies. And then I didn't graduate. I literally was 6 months from graduation and did not graduate. I literally failed college, flunked out of college. And when I came home, God really began to do his true work in me. I've always had a desire to be an entrepreneur, even from a little girl. It was I believe God gave me a true vision when I was a child about really working with students and really helping them become who they want to be in their career. And so, fast forward to about 2017, it was when I decided that I was going to go and build a business, a coaching business, and to really help students who had the same struggles as I. Because what I realized with me failing college was there were still some things, right, that were stemming from some of the exact same things I was dealing with in my childhood. And so it's my job each and every week to pull out some of the things that I've learned. I didn't share with you that I was actually, this would be my over a decade, right? Over a decade of years in education and teaching in and around education. And so I began to work in education in about 2010, at the least, right, in the year 2010. And so I'm over a decade in of serving in education and around education. And what I've learned from my personal experience and also um, from personal, from professional, and even from my educational experience, many of the things that students are dealing with academically really shows up in the way that their parents either A, take charge in their child's academic success, or B, doesn't take charge in their child's academic success. And so it's really my job and my duty to make sure that I help you, right? That I pull out some problems, pull out some pains that you may be experiencing with your child right now academically, and I help you shift from where you are to where you desire to be. All right, and so that's my heart's desire, and I do that right here during our master classes. I have time right in the evening if you want to chat about your child personally, like if you want to get on the phone and allow me to be able to help you with your child personally, I have that option available for you as well. And if you want help for me to show you how to solve that problem, I have a program that will truly be a blessing to you and your child academically. And so if you want to learn more about those, you want more information, comment right here below and say, hey, I want more information about how I can work with you one-on-one. All right? All right. And so that's our intro for today. That's pretty much all I believe I needed to share. And so I'm ready to get into today's masterclass. My goal, parents, I know you might be at work. I know you're putting the babies down for a nap, possibly. Maybe you're running your Monday errands, right? But I want to talk to you today. I don't want to talk to you too long, but I want to share with you about an experience that I had when it came to, if you didn't see the topic for today, about late work. About late work. And um, I wanted to talk about that today because I was a student. I told you about um, my challenges, right, academically. One of the issues that I had was I was a student who turned in a lot of late work, like I was. I was a student who turned in a lot of late work, especially to my teachers, right? I was a student who turned in a lot of late work. And most of the time, it was because I was losing the work. That was often why I was turning in a lot of late work. Now, I'm going to go into detail and give you another reason why I was turning in late work in a bit. But one of the main reasons that I was turning in work late and I really wasn't turning in on time because I have a habit of losing my homework. All right. I was one of those ones that I couldn't find my homework when it was time to get it done at home, right? So my parents would literally be like, okay, where's your homework? When it's time for them to help me, especially in elementary school. And I would tell them like I lost it, right? Which would sometimes, and most of the time, be true. I was one of those kids that lost like book bags. I lost folders. I lost most of my folder more than my book bag, but I would lose like my folder. I was a child that lost keys. If you want to stir up my dad to this day, remind him about how many keys that I lost. So like I was like a kid like that. Like I would lose keys. I was losing my work. I was losing my homework. I was losing my folder. I just wasn't really keeping up with a lot of my stuff. And one of the things that my parents would really feel like they almost wanted to kill me. Really, they would be so upset because they couldn't figure out how I would go to school all day, right, and lose my work in between, literally going to school and just coming straight home because I was a walker during that time. Like I walked, or if I rode the bus, I was going to my babysitter. So how could I lose my work, right? How could I lose my work? And all I did was go to school. And one of the things that was much a challenge for me, I was turning on the live so I could see the comments. One of the things that was a real big issue for me and for my parents is they couldn't figure out how I would lose the work, right? Getting it from my teacher's hand into my hand and getting home. And so what would end up happening is when I get home, I didn't have it. And one of the things my parents, because they did have great expectations for me, because my parents really did want me to achieve and be successful, my parents would often write me a note, right? Once they tried to almost kill me because, again, I lost my homework and I'll probably get a major whooping, right? One of the things that they would do is they would write me a note to try to get me out of the consequences that I would have for just getting a zero. And so my parents would literally write me a note and I would give it to my teacher to ask for like a little extension, right? To ask for an extension to get my homework done. And what that would mean is that often my teacher would have to like reprint the homework or like make a copy of a homework assignment just so that I can be able to go home the next day and try to catch up, right? And there was so many issues with that because let's say my teacher did find the classwork or did find the homework that I need to do, but I still had homework from that day. So I would often be caught behind, right? Because I was trying to work on two homework assignments when I got home, right? One from the day before and then one from the next day. And so I want to go a little bit, deeper into that because on top of me losing a lot of homework, right? Remember I was telling you one of the reasons was I lost, right? A lot of my homework, and that's why I was turning in late. But another point that I really want to point out is, let's say today's Monday and I lost my homework today, and then I go to school tomorrow. My teacher would give me a homework assignment, right, for today. So But then I have homework for Tuesday. So let's say tomorrow evening, which would be Tuesday, I would have to work on like 2 homework assignments. But I've been telling you all, one of the other issues about me academically was I really had trouble getting my work done. We talked about that, right? Really understanding the work. We talked about that last week. And if your child isn't understanding work, if they aren't understanding the lessons that their teacher is being taught, go back and watch last Monday's masterclass, because it's really going to help you. I gave you a tool that's going to help you. But I told you all, that was an issue for me. And so not really understanding the work on top of losing the work was double pain for me, because one, I lost it, so I'm in trouble about that. And then two, when I finally get the homework, I don't know how to do it. And then on top of that, I got to do homework for today or Tuesday, right? The same day. So I'm doing makeup work and I'm doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing today, right? And I don't know how to do that. And so it was very much a challenge for me, on top of losing the work and not knowing how to do the work. And so that would cause more issues. So when my parents finally get the assignment that I need to make up, and then on top of that, after I get the assignment that I need to make up, something is like a glare. I don't know what that's about. Right here. I don't like that. But one of the things that I was saying was, like, on top of my parents not me not knowing how to do the work, I was making up work. And so me sitting down with my parents in the evening, it's making them hot as fish grease, because I don't know what I'm doing and I'm making up work, right? And it's like, you're not even taking any of this serious. You're kind of being irresponsible. And what are you going to school to do every day? Are you playing? And so that was one of, it was an issue for me academically. But even that issue with me turning in late work has so many other consequences to it. It has so many other issues and challenges to it. And I want you to think about that for your child as well, right? If they are where I was, right, talking about turning in late work, where does that, what also are the challenges attached to that? Does that mean they're turning in late work too? Because like me, right, they're losing it. But are they also having an issue because they don't know how to do the work? And is that causing them to turn in late work as well? And so I want you to think about that. Like, are your kids throwing their homework in the trash can because they don't know how to do it? Like, these are real things that are happening with our students. And I want you to think about that, right? I want you to think about that while you're here today. But either way, it's irresponsible. So if your child is throwing it in the trash can, irresponsible. If they're like me, losing their folder, irresponsible. If they're turning in late work for whatever reason, irresponsible, right? And for whatever needs to be worked on, right? We can acknowledge that. But the truth was, I was very irresponsible when it came to turning in late work. And so we're going to talk about that today, the irresponsibility as well with turning in the late assignments, okay? But again, I turned in a lot of late work, and then I was very irresponsible. And I also was a child that, and this is another thing too, I was a child that didn't like a lot of routines. I didn't like a lot of routines. And so putting the homework in my folder, right, and then bringing it straight home, like I just wasn't a child that liked a lot of routines. I'm still not a person that like a whole bunch of routines. Of course, I've got much better as an adult. You need them, but just the routines, that didn't make me happy. Like, that didn't make me on fire for a long time. But I'm telling you, what helped me actually have routines, right? Like putting my homework in the folder or whatever. Now it's much more electronic, right? But putting homework in the folder, what ended up happening for me is I started to find a sense of importance for being more responsible, for having routines, for turning my work in on time, when it became important to me. When it became important to me. when it became important to me. And so that's something I'm going to talk to you all about today. For me, I found a sense of turning in my homework and just turning my assignments on time when it became important to me. And for so long, I didn't know why this was important. I couldn't relate it for me. While this is so important that this is something that I want to do. And so we're going to talk about that today. But I wanted to say this, right? I turned in a lot of late work to my teachers, and sometimes my parents never knew. Sometimes my parents never knew. And so if my teacher didn't send home a note, right, saying that I was missing work, right, a lot of times my parents wouldn't know until report cards or progress reports that I had missed so much homework. And that was whether because I lost it, because it was too hard for me to do, because I thought that I could just get away with this one assignment, right, not being turned in. And then I forget that I have done this 3 other times this year, in this quarter. I thought that, I could almost get away with it. But the truth was, I never did. And so, but that was stemming for so many other issues. I didn't know the responsibility, right? I didn't know the responsibility of that. And so, not turning in my work and turning in late work, the truth is, I wasn't being responsible, as we talked about. But more importantly, even with that, I was missing out on, right, the learning process of being independent and dependable academically. And so it's a big thing when we talk about not turning in work. The truth is, I was not being responsible and I didn't know independence and being dependable academically. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I didn't know that. And had I known it, right, I would have done it. And so that's what I wanted you to think about when it comes to your children as well, if your child is starting in late work. Okay? Like, for real, I want you to think about that. Yes, your child may not be responsible, but the truth is there is deeper. They're missing out on learning independence and being dependable. And oftentimes it's because probably they don't know. They don't know the importance in it. Another thing that I want to bring to your attention about me, right, was that I was turning in late work, right? I was turning in late work, right? But the issue with late work was I was turning it in and I wasn't getting all the points for it. And so it was challenging, right? Because I was getting points taken off from work that I was actually doing because it was late. So let's say if I literally did very well on my work, let's say I got a 90 on an assignment that I turned in late. Well, my teacher would take 10 points off. So now I'm at a B when I could have had an A. And so when we're talking about turning in late work, I know many of you parents are maybe frustrated, right, with your child, but this is like a real big issue that has to be solved because it's even getting down to they're getting points taken off because they're late, but truly it shouldn't have been like that. And so I wrote this down. It created more work for me, right? And I was getting less results. It created more work for me because I was getting less results. So I was doing more work, getting less results. And I want to share that with you about your child too. Your child, if they're turning in late work, right, they're probably doing more work and getting less results. And that doesn't make any sense, right? That doesn't make any sense to do. And so that's something that I truly, I realized, especially as I was taking notes of this class, like I was just doing more work than what was needed. Um, One of the other things that I want to share with you all about me, right, was that I wasn't being accountable to myself. And whether you know it or not, grades K through 5 is a perfect grade to teach accountability, right? It's actually the most success that you can have when teaching a child about being accountability because they're so young and impressionable, right? And they're willing to listen. And so for me, I wasn't taking charge of my own academic success, and it was keeping me in the state of failing, right? And that's went on for 10th until 10th grade. So I wasn't even being accountable. And turning in late work, it's not creating the sense of accountability for your own success. That's like coming to work late. You're just not being accountable for your own duties that you said that you would do, right? You're not being a woman of your word, a man of your word, and in this case, a child that should be honoring, their word and what they know they're supposed to do. And so, that was a big thing for me. But it took until about 10th grade, I told you that, to like high school for me to achieve academically. It did. It took a while. It did. It really took a while. But what helped me, right, turning more work and then turning in on time, what helped me turn my work in on time was when I learned the sense of importance, right? The sense of importance in turning work in on time. And I think that that's very, 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 very important, right? Because giving a child a sense of importance of why they should do something, right, for their own understanding is very important. And that's how you can see a child begin to make a 180 academically, because they understand why this is important for them and not you just telling them. But for me, that's when I made a transition academically, is when I really understood why this was important for me. Not because I had to do it, not because I was truly not turning in work and not being accountable, right, and being irresponsible. What made me transition from that is when I learned why I wanted to be responsible and really take charge of my success. And so I think that is very, very important. And when I did that, right, I did want to be more accountable. I didn't want to miss out on turning in my work. Like, I was just so on fire because I didn't want to miss out on turning my work. Like, I cared about my own academic success. And then I really began to set up routines that kept me prepared for class. And so that's something that I want you to think about as well when it comes to your child. Literally helping them, right, identify what is the reason turning in work is important for them. It has so many benefits for them. They'll begin to set routines, right, to keep them prepared. They'll care about their own academic success. They won't really want to miss out on turning in assignments, and then they'll have that sense of accountability as well. And it's true, I even as an adult, right? Even as an adult, most of the reasons that we do what we do is because of why it's important to us. It's just the truth. And so I just remember like turning in work one time for me when I had a sense of why it was important for me. It took finding learning more engaging, right? So when I got a sense of learning, why it was important to me, I was much more engaged, right? And when learning was engaging for me, I showed up, right? I was on time. I wasn't willing to be late for class. I wasn't willing to turn my work in. Projects were on time. I was excited. I just remember one year, I was so excited about this biology project. This was high school. I was already a teacher. Was this middle school? It might have been middle school. Yep, I was so excited about this project because it was like a science project, and we were learning about atoms, right? And I got to be so creative and do what I wanted to do with it. And I just made this. I went to the grocery store. It was very cool too. I had went to the grocery store, and the Jell-O, they have like Jell-O back then. They had Jell-O in this bowl. I had seen it before, and it made me think of it when it was time to do my project. It was Jello in a bowl. And I say this because I'm telling you, when kids have a sense of why it's important to them, or they have some engagement, like it connects to them, they're going to be more excited. I had this Jello bowl of from the Safeway, I believe they had it, and in the Jello they had different fruits. And so what I did was I took the Jello and made it an atom, made it a cell, right? Made it a cell because we had to do cell, we had to learn atoms, we had to learn molecules. And so I took the Jello and made my Jello a project. And I just took like a lollipop and broke the stick and put the lollipop inside the Jello, and I made that like the atom. And I had put like toothpicks with labels on it, atom, and I labeled like cells and molecules, and it was just super fun to me because I was engaged and it was something that I wanted to do, and I got to eat it. So it was just super, fun and engaging. But that was in middle school. But I say that to say, when students have, a sense of importance, they'll be more engaged when they know why it's important, right? Like why this is important to them. Not why it's important to you, but why it's important to them. And I'm telling you, they'll be more engaged and they'll care more about showing up and turning their work in on time and just really being successful academically. And so I wanted to share that with you all. If you're a grades K through 5 parent and your child is like me and like I was, not turning in their work on time, and then that they're just not being responsible, they're being irresponsible academically. I just believe that if you help your child identify why, right, turning work in on time is important to them, not you, why it's important to them, right? You will begin to see them take charge of their academic success, and really they won't want to miss out on turning their work late because they have a sense of why it's important to them. And so I truly believe that, because that's what happened to me. Yeah, I was turning in late work. Sometimes my parents didn't even know about it, and I was definitely being very irresponsible. But what helped me was when I found out like why this was really important to me. Like, why should I turn in work one time? Like, why this was important to me? Not because they were making me do it, not because my teacher said it had to be due, but I had to find a sense of like, this is important to me, and I want to take charge of my own academic success. And so that truly, I believe, can help your child as well. And if you want help, right, really digging down and identifying why turning in work will be important for your child. If you want help identifying like what will make them turn and work on time for them, let me know. I'm here to help you. Like, this is what I do, is what I love to do. I would love to help you dig deep and to figure out like what's going on with your child, what's stopping them, right, from turning and work on time and really taking charge of their success, right? What's stopping you from helping them? Like, what's the disconnect there? What's preventing you from helping them, with stopping them from taking charge? And then most importantly, what do you want to see for your child academically? And I can help you with that. And so if you want help, I'll put the link in the comment section below, right here in the group. Yeah, and until we chat again, I pray you all, if you need this type of help, right, and you definitely want to make sure that your child has the sense of independence and productivity academically, you definitely want to book. I'm gonna put the link how to get on the phone and talk to me. You definitely want to book one of those sessions, because I really believe that if you do, right, and you really help your child identify why and what would make them really want to turn and work on time, I don't think that your child would miss another assignment. Really, I don't, because they have a sense of why it's important to them. And so please, 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 if you want help with that or anything around that area, please click the link in the comment section below and book a session with me. If you all have any questions, feel free to do the same. Book a session, comment below, and let me know how I can help you. Until we chat again, bye-bye.